I used to think my life was steady. Lena loved me, Richard respected me, and for once, everything made sense. I was wrong. Babe, you're late again, Lena said, stirring her coffee. Yeah, work ran over, I replied, dropping my bag. You could have waited for dinner. She smiled faintly. I did. Richard kept me company. I froze for a second. Oh, just the two of you? Relax, she laughed softly. We just talked about your new project. He's proud of you. Her words should have comforted me, but something in her tone, too light, too careful, made my chest tighten. Right, I said, forcing a grin. That's good, I guess. She touched my arm. You're so serious all the time. Trust me, everything's fine, everything's fine. The phrase echoed in my head all evening. When Richard came in, I tried to read his face. Evening, son, he said, patting my shoulder. Hey, I muttered. You two had quite a chat, huh? He chuckled. Lena's got a good head on her shoulders. You're lucky. I know, I said quietly. He poured himself a drink, moving like he owned the air around him. You worry too much, Ethan. You need to relax. Maybe, I said. Guess I just overthink things. That's your problem, he smirked. You don't know how to enjoy what you have. Maybe he was right. Or maybe I was starting to see something I didn't want to. Later that night, I found them in the kitchen. The lights were dim, their voices low. He doesn't suspect anything, I heard her whisper. Richard chuckled. You're terrible. My heart stopped. I stepped in. What's going on? They both turned fast, too fast. Lena smiled nervously. Oh, hey, we were just talking about your birthday. Right, Richard added smoothly. Surprise plans. You ruined it. Sorry, I said slowly, pretending to buy it. Didn't mean to interrupt. They laughed, but the laughter didn't reach their eyes. I could feel something sour in the air, something that didn't belong in my home. When we went to bed, I couldn't sleep. Lena's breathing beside me was steady, peaceful. I stared at the ceiling, hearing Richard's voice replay in my mind. You don't know how to enjoy what you have. The next morning, I tried to shake it off. Want to grab breakfast before work? I asked. She didn't look up from her phone. Can't, meeting a friend. Which friend? She hesitated. Just someone from college. Right, I said. You've been busy lately? Ethan, she sighed. You've been acting weird. Is something wrong? I forced a smile. No, I'm fine. Just tired. She stepped closer, resting a hand on my chest. Then stop worrying so much. You're making me feel guilty for no reason. Guilty? I repeated quietly. She blinked. I mean bad. You know what I mean? Yeah, I said. Sure. When she left, I sat on the couch for a long time, staring at the door. Something in her eyes had changed. Something small, but undeniable. That evening, I came home early again. Her shoes were by the door, but the house was quiet. From the hallway, I heard voices, hers and Richard's, muffled but close. He's too good, Richard said. Don't, Lena whispered. He doesn't deserve that. He deserves honesty, Richard replied. Honesty? She laughed bitterly. You don't mean that? My hands shook. I stepped back before they noticed. I wanted to barge in, to demand answers, but I didn't. Instead, I walked outside, breathing hard under the cold night air. Why couldn't I face it? Because I loved her. Because Richard had been more of a father than my real one ever was. Because part of me still wanted to believe I wasn't being made a fool of. That night, Lena curled beside me as if nothing was wrong. Rough day? She asked softly. Yeah, I whispered. A little. She kissed my cheek. You're always safe with me, okay? Yeah, I said again, my throat tight. I know, but I didn't know. I only felt the distance growing, quiet, invisible, poisonous. Lena drifted to sleep, and I lay there listening to her breathe. The house felt heavy, like every wall was hiding a secret. I looked at the ceiling again and told myself the same lie she did. Everything's fine. It was the last night I believed it. The first thing I noticed was the silence. The kind that felt too calm, too rehearsed. Lena? I called out, stepping into the living room. She looked up from the couch, phone in hand. Hey, you're home early. Yeah, meeting got canceled. Her fingers tightened around the phone. Oh, that's good. Who were you texting? I asked. She smiled faintly. Just Sarah. Why? I shrugged. You've been smiling at your phone a lot lately. That's because I have a life outside of you, Ethan. Her tone was playful, but it stung anyway. I know, I said quietly. I just miss how we used to talk. She rolled her eyes. We still talk. Not like before. Maybe you're imagining things. Maybe I was. Or maybe I was starting to see what I didn't want to. That night, Richard came home while we were eating. Hey, lovebirds, he said, grabbing a plate. Hi, Lena replied too quickly. He sat beside her, not across. Too close. Too comfortable. So, Ethan, Richard said, you still working on that app idea? Yeah, I said. Still rough around the edges. You'll get there, he said, patting Lena's shoulder. You've got a good support system. Lena smiled at him in a way I hadn't seen in weeks. I stared down at my food, pretending it didn't bother me. When my mom called that night from her business trip, I told her everything was fine. She asked if Richard was helping around the house. I said yes. I didn't tell her how much I wished he wasn't. The next day, Sarah called. You sound off, she said. I'm fine. Don't lie. You only say that when you're about to break something. I laughed weakly. Maybe I'm just tired. Ethan, she said slowly, is this about Lena? Why would it be? Because I've seen her Instagram stories. She's always at your house when you're not there. She lives here. Not always with company. I froze. What do you mean? Nothing, she said quickly. Forget it. Sarah, she sighed. Look, I could be wrong, okay? Just keep your eyes open. I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning, I went to make coffee and found Richard already there, shirt unbuttoned halfway, humming to himself. Morning, he said. Where's Lena? She went for a jog. She doesn't jog, he chuckled. Guess people change. Yeah, I said. Guess so. Later, Lena came home sweaty but glowing. Good run? I asked. Yeah, she said. Felt good. With Richard? Her eyes widened for half a second. What? No, why would you ask that? Because he said you jogged. She laughed nervously. You're seriously paranoid. Maybe I just noticed things. Well, notice this, she snapped. I'm tired of being accused of things I haven't done. I didn't accuse you. You implied it. Because something's off, Lena. She looked away. Then maybe you should trust me more. Trust. The word felt heavy. That night, I saw her phone on the counter while she showered. I told myself not to look, but my hands moved anyway. The message on the screen was short. Richard, he won't find out. Trust me, the world went silent. My chest burned. My hands trembled so hard the phone almost fell. When she came out, I was still standing there. Who's Richard? I asked quietly. She froze, towel in hand. What? I saw your messages, she blinked. You went through my phone? Answer me. Her lip quivered for a second, then she smiled weakly. You're overthinking again. Don't do that. Do what? Make me feel crazy when I know what I saw. It wasn't what you think, she said. Then tell me what it is, she hesitated. It's about your mom's birthday. We were planning something. Right, I whispered. Because everyone lies for birthdays. Her eyes softened. You don't trust me anymore, do you? I want to, I said. I really want to. Then stop looking for reasons not to. She walked past me, brushing my shoulder gently. I stood there, phone still in my hand, the message glowing like a wound. When I called Sarah that night, my voice cracked. I think it's happening, I said. What? What you warned me about. Ethan! I don't have proof, but I feel it. It's like they're whispering right behind me. Then stop pretending it's fine, she said. I can't, I whispered. Not yet. Why not?
Because if I admit it's true, everything I love falls apart. Silence filled the line.
Sarah finally said. Then be careful, okay? Lies don't whisper forever. Eventually, they scream. That night, I lay awake again. Her phone buzzed once beside me. She turned it over before I could see. Who's that? I asked. She smiled faintly. Nobody. It was such a small word. But it tore me apart. It was supposed to be an ordinary Friday. I left work early thinking I'd surprise Lena with dinner. I even bought her favorite takeout. When I pulled into the driveway, Richard's car was already there. My stomach twisted. He wasn't supposed to be home. Inside, the house was too quiet. The kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, just wrong. Lena? I called. No answer. I set the food on the counter and heard something upstairs, soft, rhythmic, muffled. My heart started to hammer. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she was watching a movie. Maybe she was asleep. But I knew. Deep down, I already knew. I followed the sounds to the guest room. My hand shook as I touched the door handle, and then I opened it. For a second, my brain refused to understand what my eyes were seeing. Lena's hair, her voice, her skin against his. Richard's hand on her back, his voice low and familiar. "Ethan," she gasped, scrambling for a blanket. Richard didn't even move. He just stared at me, calm, cold. "Ethan, wait," she cried. I laughed, but it came out broken. "Wait, for what? For you to tell me it's not what it looks like?" "Please," she said, reaching out. "It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I shouted. "You call sleeping with my stepdad a mistake?" Richard finally spoke, his tone smooth. "You're overreacting." "Overreacting?" I snapped. "You're in my house, in my bed, with my girlfriend, and I'm overreacting." He stood unbothered. "You're young." "You'll move on!" Something inside me cracked. "You think this is a joke?" He buttoned his shirt slowly. "It's life. People change." "People?" I said, pointing at him. "You're supposed to be family." He smirked. "Family doesn't mean ownership," Lena sobbed beside him. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "Then why did it?" I asked. She covered her face. "I don't know. I was confused." "You were distant. He was there." I stared at her, disbelief mixing with rage. "So it's my fault now?" "No," she cried. "I just—" "Stop," I said quietly. "Don't make excuses." She tried to touch my arm, but I stepped back. Don't you dare touch me." Richard walked past me toward the door. "You'll thank me one day, kid. You were too soft for her." "Get out," I said. He didn't even look back. When he left, the silence returned, heavier than before. Lena sank to the floor, crying. "Ethan," she whispered. "Please, I still love you." I laughed bitterly. "You don't love anyone. You just use whoever's closest." "That's not true." "Then why him?" She hesitated, tears streaming down. "He made me feel seen." "Seen?" I snapped. "I gave you everything." "I know," she said softly. "That's what made it hard." "What does that even mean?" "It means I didn't deserve you," she whispered. I stared at her, searching for the girl I once loved. She wasn't there anymore. I walked to the closet, grabbed a bag, and started throwing clothes in. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Leaving." "Please don't," she said, grabbing my wrist. "We can fix this. There's nothing left to fix. It was just one time." "Stop," I said sharply. "Don't you dare minimize it." "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a choice." She fell silent. As I zipped the bag, she whispered, "Where will you go?" "Anywhere that's not here." "Please," she said, her voice trembling. "Don't leave me alone." "You left me the moment you touched him." She broke down completely, crying into her hands. I wanted to feel angry, but all I felt was empty. I walked past her, past the memories, past the pieces of the life we built. At the door, I looked back once. She was curled on the floor, whispering my name like it meant something again. But it didn't. Not anymore. Outside, the night air hit me hard. I sat in my car for a while, gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe. My chest ached, but no tears came. Just numbness. I called Mark, my coworker. "Hey, man," he said. "You okay?" "No," I said flatly. "What happened?" I walked in on Lena and Richard. A long silence followed. "You're serious?" "Yeah." "Jesus, Ethan." "I need a place to crash," I said. "Of course, come over. I'll keep the couch ready." When I got to his apartment, he opened the door and pulled me into a hug. "Say something," he said quietly. "I can't," I muttered. "Everything feels fake." "You'll get through this," he said. "Will I?" He nodded. "You're stronger than you think." I sat on his couch, staring at the wall. My phone buzzed, Lena calling. I turned it off. Mark brought me a glass of water. "You need to rest." "I need to forget," I whispered. "You won't, not yet. But one day." I leaned back, closing my eyes. The last thing I saw was the image burned into my mind, Lena and Richard together, It replayed like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. That night, something inside me died. The part of me that trusted. The part that loved without fear. And in the quiet that followed, I realized my life wasn't broken. It was gone. Days blurred together after that night. Morning, night, and it all felt the same. I crashed on Mark's couch, surrounded by pizza boxes, the smell of burnt coffee, and silence. Mark tried to keep me alive. "You need to eat," he said one morning, sliding a plate toward me. "I'm not hungry." "You've said that for a week." "I'm fine." He sighed. "You're not fine. You look like hell." "Thanks," I muttered, staring at my phone. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Lena's tears, Richard's smirk. It was like poison looping in my head. "Maybe you should talk to someone," Mark suggested. "I am talking to someone. I mean a therapist." "I don't need one," I snapped. "Yeah," he said quietly. "You do." I didn't answer. I just scrolled. And then I saw it. A photo, Lena and Richard, laughing at some fancy restaurant. Caption: "Happy birthday to the best man in my life." My chest tightened. I stared until the screen blurred. Mark noticed. "Don't," he said. "She posted it today," I whispered. "Block her." "I can't." "Then give me the phone," he said. I shook my head. "No." "Ethan," he said firmly, "you're killing yourself like this." I threw the phone on the couch. "How do you move on from something like that?" "You don't," he said. "You just learn to live with it." "Well, I don't want to live with it." He leaned forward. "Then what do you want?" "I want to stop hurting." "Then stop looking back." His words hung in the air like smoke. "Easy to say." Impossible to do. That night, Sarah showed up, Mark's sister. She knocked twice and walked in, holding a paper bag. "I heard about what happened," she said softly. "Yeah, word travels fast," I muttered. She sat beside me. "You've lost weight." "I lost more than that," she frowned. "You can't keep doing this to yourself." "Doing what?" "Breathing?" "Drowning," she said. "You're drowning in what they did." I looked at her. "You think I don't know that?" "Then fight it," she said. "Get up, go outside." "Do something." "I don't have a job." "So get one." I laughed bitterly. "You make it sound simple." "It's not simple," she said. "But it's possible." Her eyes were sharp, the kind that didn't pity me, just challenged me. I hated it and needed it at the same time. After she left, I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling. The room felt heavy, like grief had its own gravity. At 3 a.m., I opened my phone again. The same photo glared back. Them, together. "Perfect," I whispered to myself. "You win." Then something inside me snapped, not softly, but violently. I opened my contacts and started deleting. Lena, Richard, her friends, my mother's number, gone. Every photo, every message, every trace of who I'd been. Mark woke up to the sound of my typing. "What are you doing?" "Deleting," I said. "Deleting what?" "Everything," he rubbed his eyes. "You sure about that?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm done being their ghost." He nodded slowly. "All right. Then what's next?" "I rebuild," I said. "From nothing." The next morning I shaved, cleaned the room, threw out every reminder of the past. It wasn't healing, it was demolition. Mark watched quietly. "You look different," he said. "Good. Angry different or better different?" "Both," I said. "I need both," he smiled faintly. "Then use it." "How?" "Work," he said. "Find something that makes you feel like you again." So I did. I called my old manager, begged for shifts, took every extra hour I could. It wasn't glamorous, late nights, empty tables, fake smiles, but it was something that didn't hurt to look at. One night after work, I found Sarah waiting outside. "You're working again," she said. "Trying," she smiled. "That's progress." "I don't feel better," I said. "You're not supposed to." "Healing isn't comfort. It's movement." Her words stuck. Weeks passed. My body adjusted. My mind, not yet. But every morning I woke up, it felt less like dying and more like surviving. One night, Mark looked at me over dinner. "You're changing. Good or bad?" "Determined," he said. "That's new." I nodded slowly. "I think I finally get it." "Get what?" "That pain isn't supposed to end," I said. It's supposed to fuel you, he smiled. Now that's the Ethan I know. I leaned back, staring out the window. The city lights blurred like embers. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than grief. Fire. And I swore to myself, right there at that table, that I'd never let them define me again. 2 years. That's how long it took to rebuild what they broke. I stood in my office, small, sunlit, walls still half empty. But it was mine. My company. My peace. Sarah leaned against the doorway, holding 2 coffees. You're late to your own celebration, she teased. I was finishing the proposal, I said, taking 1 cup. You mean rewriting it for the 10th time? I like precision, she smirked. You like control? Maybe, I said. After everything, I earned it. She smiled softly. You really did. My phone buzzed on the desk. Alex's name flashed. I picked up. Morning, Alex. Morning, boss, he said with a laugh. You ready for the investor call? As ready as I'll ever be. Good. They're impressed, Ethan. You've come a long way from that barista job. Feels like another life. It was, he said. And you buried it. I hung up and looked at Sarah. You think he's right? About what? That I buried it, she shrugged. Maybe, or maybe you just outgrew it. Outgrew betrayal? No, she said. Outgrew needing answers. Her words hit harder than I expected. For years I'd searched for closure, but maybe this, peace, growth, freedom, was closure. At lunch, Alex joined us. Sharp suit, silver watch, the kind of calm confidence I used to fake. He raised his glass. To Ethan, the man who turned pain into profit. I laughed. That sounds colder than I meant it to be. He grinned. You earned your edge. Don't lose it. Sarah rolled her eyes. He's still human, Alex. I know, he said. That's what makes him dangerous in business. I shook my head. You two never agree. That's why it works, Alex said. Balance, we clinked glasses. For the first time I felt proud, not just of surviving, but of living again. That evening I stayed back after everyone left. The hum of the city filtered through the window, quiet and steady. My reflection in the glass didn't look broken anymore. Just older, wiser. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. Unknown number. I frowned, unlocking it. One message. Can we talk? Lena, the world stilled. My throat went dry. For a moment, it felt like time rewound, like the man I'd been 2 years ago was clawing his way back. I stared at the screen, half expecting it to disappear. But it didn't. Sarah's voice startled me. You're still here? I quickly locked the phone. Yeah, just finishing up. She eyed me curiously. You look like you saw a ghost. Maybe I did. Work ghost or personal? Personal, I said quietly. She stepped closer. You okay? I don't know. Want to talk about it? Not yet. She hesitated, then nodded. All right. But whatever it is, you don't owe anyone your peace, Ethan. After she left, I sat in silence. My heart wasn't racing, not like before. It was steady, controlled, but there was something else, curiosity, maybe even pity. I typed a reply. What do you want, Lena? Then deleted it. I didn't owe her anything. Not my time, not my forgiveness. The next day I met Alex for coffee. You look distracted, he said. Just old memories knocking. Then don't open the door. You ever get curious, though? He smiled knowingly. Of course. But curiosity doesn't heal you. It just reopens scars. I nodded slowly. She texted me. Ah, he said. The ghost. Yeah. And you? I didn't answer. He raised an eyebrow. Good, let silence speak for you. That night Sarah called. Did you ever reply? No. Proud of you, she said softly. That's growth. I don't feel proud, I admitted. I just feel empty. That's what freedom feels like at first. I laughed quietly. You always have a quote for everything. I have experience, she said. And I've watched you crawl out of hell. Her voice softened. You're not that broken kid anymore. No, I said. I'm not. After we hung up, I walked to the window again. The city lights shimmered, reflecting on the glass like pieces of the man I used to be. I whispered to my reflection, You made it. And for the first time in years, I believed it. It happened on a Tuesday. I was reviewing contracts when my assistant buzzed in. There's someone here to see you, she said carefully. She says her name is Lena. For a moment, everything around me blurred. That name, once a wound, now just a memory, hit harder than I expected. Send her in, I said quietly. The door opened. She stepped in, hesitant. Her once glossy hair was dull, her clothes wrinkled, her face pale. Time hadn't been kind to her. Hi, she whispered. Hi, I said, keeping my tone flat. She looked around the office, eyes flickering across the shelves, the framed articles, the clean desk. You did it, she said softly. You really made it. I told you I would, I replied. She smiled weakly. You always said you'd build something from nothing. I didn't think you meant this. I meant every word. She took a deep breath, her voice trembling. I didn't come here to stir things up. I just wanted to see what you lost. I cut in. Her eyes widened. No, that's not fair. Fair? I laughed quietly. You and Richard taught me what unfair really looks like. She flinched. I know I deserve that. Then why are you here, Lena? She hesitated, gripping her bag like a lifeline. Richard left me, she finally said. He used me, Ethan. Everything, his money, the house, it's all gone. I leaned back, folding my arms. So he did to you what you both did to me. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't know what I was doing. I was stupid, selfish. He made me feel wanted. Until he didn't. She nodded, silent tears spilling down her cheeks. I lost everything, Ethan. The friends, the job, my dignity. Everything. I studied her quietly. There was a time when that sight would have broken me. Now I just felt distance. What do you want from me? I asked. She swallowed. Forgiveness. Maybe a chance to explain. You just did. Her voice cracked. Please don't be cruel. I know I hurt you, but I've paid for it every single day since. I'm not being cruel, I said calmly. I'm just done bleeding for people who enjoyed watching me fall. She took a shaky step forward. I didn't enjoy it. I was scared. You were too good, too stable. I thought I'd slow you down. I almost laughed. So you chose my stepdad instead? That's some logic, her lip quivered. I thought he loved me. And now you want me to feel sorry for you? I want you to understand, she said desperately. I made a mistake. The worst one of my life. Yeah, I said. It was. We stood there in silence for a moment, the air heavy with old ghosts. I still think about you, she whispered. Every night. I see your face when I close my eyes. Don't, I said softly. You don't get to haunt me anymore, she sobbed. I'm not asking for anything, Ethan. I miss you. I exhaled slowly. Would you have come if your life was still perfect? Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She stared at the floor, her silence saying more than words ever could. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You're not here because you miss me. You're here because you lost everything else. I deserve that, she whispered. Maybe, but I don't need to watch you fall. I already learned what falling feels like. She wiped her face. You've changed. I had to. Do you hate me? No, I said. I don't feel anything strong enough to be hate. She gave a broken laugh. That almost hurts more. It should. I walked to the door and opened it. I wish you peace, Lena, but I've already moved on. She looked at me one last time, her eyes hollow. You really mean that? I do. She nodded slowly, clutching her bag. You were always the better person. No, I said. Just the one who learned. She walked out, her heels echoing down the hallway until the sound disappeared. For a long time, I stood there staring at the empty doorway. My chest didn't ache, my hands didn't shake. I just felt... Still, Alex knocked softly before stepping in. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. Just closed a chapter. He glanced at the door. The ex? Yeah, he smirked. You didn't punch her, did you? I smiled faintly. No, just told the truth. That's worse, he said with a grin. Good man. When he left, I sat back down and looked at my phone. No messages, no ghosts. Just silence, the kind that finally felt peaceful. I whispered to myself, you did the right thing. And for once, I didn't need anyone else to agree. I was in the middle of a meeting when my phone buzzed, a message from my mother. Call me, it's about Richard. My stomach tightened. I excused myself and stepped into the hallway. When I called, her voice sounded calm, almost detached. It's over, she said. What is? Richard. His company's gone. The investigation caught up to him. Fraud, embezzlement, everything. I leaned against the wall. You're serious? Dead serious, she said. They froze his accounts. Reporters are everywhere. I stayed silent. She sighed. I filed for divorce last week. I should have done it years ago. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Are you okay? I asked quietly. I am now, she said. I finally stopped pretending. After we hung up, I stood there, staring at the city skyline through the glass. The man who'd once told me I'd never make it without him had lost everything. Later that night, I told Sarah. She was on my couch, laptop open, working beside me. She looked up when I said his name. Richard? Yeah, I said. He's done. Everything came crashing down. Her eyes widened. Wow, how? Fraud investigation. Turns out the empire he built was just smoke and lies. Fitting, she murmured. I nodded. Karma's patient, I guess. Sarah leaned back. How do you feel? I hesitated, strangely calm. I thought I'd feel happy. But I don't, she smiled faintly. Because you've outgrown revenge. Maybe, she closed her laptop. You didn't need to fight back. Life did it for you. Her words lingered. I let out a small laugh. You sound like a philosopher. I sound like someone who's watched you climb out of hell, she said softly. We sat in silence for a while, the hum of the city outside our only soundtrack. I saw him once, she added suddenly, months ago. At a restaurant downtown. Richard? Yeah, he looked tired, old, like the weight of what he did finally caught up. Good, I said quietly. He always thought he was untouchable. And now? Now he's human, she studied me. You're not angry anymore, are you? I shook my head. No, anger was fuel. But I don't need it anymore, Sarah smiled. That's peace. Feels strange, I admitted. Like I lost something I carried for too long. You did, she said. Bitterness. I stared at the window. The reflection looking back wasn't the boy who begged for love or cried over betrayal. It was a man who'd learned silence could be louder than shouting. The next day, Mom called again. He's moving out, she said. Said he's going to stay with a friend. What's left of them? I didn't ask who. I didn't care. She hesitated. He wanted me to tell you he's sorry. For what? I asked. For everything. I let out a quiet breath. Tell him I hope he finds peace. You mean that? She asked softly. Yeah, I said. I mean it. After we hung up, I sat back at my desk, scrolling through an article about his downfall. Headlines screamed words like fraud, scandal, betrayal, but I didn't feel triumph, just relief. That evening, Sarah came over again. She brought takeout and 2 beers. You're smiling? She said as she handed me a bottle. I guess I am. What's on your mind? Karma, I said. How quiet it can be, she laughed. You used to think justice had to be loud. Yeah, I said. Now I think silence is louder. She leaned her head against my shoulder. So, what now? Now, I said, I live. We ate in comfortable silence. No ghosts, no anger. Just peace. When she left, I stood on the balcony watching the city lights flicker like small miracles. Somewhere out there, Richard was facing everything he'd built collapsing around him. And Lena, well, she'd already fallen, but I didn't wish them pain anymore. I wished them awareness. The kind that comes when everything's gone and all that's left is reflection, I whispered to the night. Justice doesn't need an audience. The city answered with silence. The town looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe it was me who'd grown. The streets were quieter, the air colder. I parked outside the old house, the one that used to echo with arguments and fake laughter. The windows were bare, the garden overgrown. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a place time had abandoned. Sarah stepped out of the car behind me. So this is it, she said softly. Yeah, I replied. Where everything started and ended. She walked beside me as I unlocked the door. The hinges groaned like they resented being disturbed. Dust floated in the sunlight. It's strange, I murmured. It feels smaller. Memories always make places look bigger, she said. We stepped into the kitchen. The same tiles. The same crack on the wall where Richard once slammed his fist. I ran my hand along the counter. "This is where it happened," I said quietly. "What happened?" "The night Lena told me she was seeing my brother." "Right there." Sarah didn't say anything. She just stood beside me, her presence steady, grounding. "I remember how cold it felt," I whispered. "Like the air itself didn't want me there." She looked around. "And now?" "Now it's just a room." For a while we said nothing. The silence wasn't heavy this time. It was honest. She reached for my hand. "You sure you're ready to be here?" I nodded. I needed to see it one last time, to make sure I wasn't still stuck here. We walked through the living room. Empty frames still hung on the walls, ghosts of smiles long gone. Sarah touched one. "You ever think about taking them down?" "No," I said. "They remind me of who I used to be, not who I am." She smiled faintly. "You've changed." I had to. Otherwise, I'd still be bleeding over people who never looked back. She turned to face me. "Do you ever miss them?" I thought about it. Sometimes. Not the people they became, but the ones I thought they were. She nodded, understanding without judgment. That's what I loved about her. She never tried to fix the past for me. She just stood with me in the present. I wandered upstairs. The floor creaked beneath my feet. My old room was still there. Faded posters, an empty bookshelf, a ghost of the life I'd left behind. Sarah stood at the doorway. "It feels frozen in time," she said. "Yeah," I murmured. "Like it's waiting for the kid who never came back." I sat on the edge of the bed. I used to lie here and dream about leaving. I thought freedom meant running away. And now? Now I know freedom's not about leaving people behind. It's about leaving pain behind. She smiled softly. "You did that." "Not alone," I said. She stepped closer. "You gave yourself the closure no one else could give you." "Maybe," I said. "But it took me losing everything to learn that." We stood there quietly for a moment before she asked, "Do you want to say goodbye?" I looked around one last time. "Yeah, but not to them. To me, the version that lived here." I walked downstairs again, each step lighter than the last. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying faint echoes of laughter and arguments long buried. I locked the door, slipped the key into my pocket, then paused. Sarah watched me. "You okay?" I smiled, really smiled. "Yeah," I said. "I am." We got into the car. As I started the engine, I looked back at the house. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a monument, a reminder of who I used to be and how far I'd come. Sarah reached across the console and took my hand. "What are you thinking?" "That I spent years trying to fix people who broke me," I said. "But I never realized I was the one who needed healing." She squeezed my hand gently. "And now?" "Now I know better. Love starts with self-respect," she smiled. "That's the line, isn't it? The one that ends your story." "Maybe it's the one that starts the next," I said. We drove past familiar streets, the park where Lena and I used to sit, the cafe where Richard once bragged about his success. Each place felt smaller, like memories I'd finally outgrown. "Do you ever wish it all went differently?" Sarah asked. "No," I said. "If it had, I wouldn't have found you. Or peace," she smiled. "Then maybe it all happened the way it needed to." "Yeah," I said. "Karma's funny that way." The sun dipped low as we drove out of town. The road stretched ahead, open, endless, forgiving. I rolled down the window, letting the cool air hit my face. For the first time in years, I felt light. No bitterness, no resentment. Just gratitude. Sarah leaned her head on my shoulder. "You're quiet," she whispered. "I'm saying goodbye," I said softly. "To who?" "To the boy who thought love meant sacrifice. To the man who thought pain proved loyalty. To the version of me who didn't know his worth," she smiled. "And who are you now?" I looked at the horizon and said, "The man I became." We didn't speak after that. We didn't need to. The silence between us wasn't empty anymore. It was full. Full of understanding, forgiveness, and something that finally felt like peace. As we crossed the city line, I whispered a quiet goodbye. Not to them, but to the shadows they left behind. And when I looked ahead, all I saw was the life waiting to be lived.